don't say the word can't. Maybe perhaps yet. Smiling, encouraging others. Complimenting. Maybe some nonverbals with a wink or a thumb up. So, in order to now kinesthetically really learn that the first expectation in our classroom of our 5-finger contract is to keep it positive, we're going to hold hands. If you're comfortable with that, we're going to do a little thumb war with our partner.
I was just like 1, 2, or 3.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. He's got big thumbs at me over here. Say thank you to your partner, and if they won, congratulate them. If you beat your partner, console them and tell them better luck next time. No worries. Where's my cousin? If you are on the outside of the circle, raise your hand. If you're on the outside, you are going to move one partner clockwise. Point in the direction you're moving. One partner clockwise, only those on the outside. So point in the direction you're moving.
Oops.
Go ahead, outside circle is rotating. Introduce yourself to your new partner. We are halfway through introductions. Make sure your partner gets to introduce themselves. The next expectation is accountability. So before you point at somebody else and blame somebody else and put yourself as a victim, they're cheating, they're not listening, they're not helping, they always get to go first. You've got 3 fingers pointing back at you, don't you, when you point at somebody? So what we're going to do now is I want you to tell me, what does being accountable look like and sound like? So that we're not pointing and blaming others. If you are accountable for yourself, or your actions, or your words, what could it look like or sound like?
Accepting your part.
Accepting your part. So admitting when you're wrong, or you played a role in whatever didn't work out. And that could go positively too.
Being able to apologize.
Yeah, just say sometimes all they need is sorry. That's all they need sometimes. Sometimes. My mom needs more than that. What can it look like? Handshakes? Yeah. Yeah. Handshakes, going up to the person, initiating that.
Stopping when you knock somebody over during a game and helping them up.
Yeah. And I used to teach my students, brush them off, we pretend. Because they're really not dirty. Well, a little bit, but you all right? You all right? All right, pick them up, and then you go. There's some things more important than the game and where the play just went or what have you. What about all that cleanup at the end of the class with all that equipment? How could that look if the students were held accountable?
Nobody can just tell everybody that everything's done.
We don't change centers until we clean it up for the next group, or before a class is finished and we line up or what have you. We clean and we help up the teacher or whoever's helping. We don't just make a mess and book out. All right, so with the index finger, what you're going to do is something called a finger fence. Now I'm going to have Eve on this side so you can, actually we'll turn sideways. We're going to hold this way, and we're going to point our index finger out. And what we're going to try to do is get in a low athletic position and gouge each other's mouth. Just kidding. And I'm going to try to tap my finger and touch her forearm. She's going to try to do the same. All right, go ahead. Finger fence. I don't really love this one, but we couldn't think of anything better. You can. Sometimes they get creative. Like this. I don't know if it's cheating or not. You're moving, which is clockwise, and say goodbye to your partner, and one partner clockwise.
Hello.
How are you? I do. teacher. My best story about the middle, who has not gotten flipped off while teaching yet? Really? Who has not?
To your face, not to your face.
5th grade female student on the autistic spectrum, came in from Central America, didn't speak the language. Holy cow, what else? Can life throw her any more curveballs? And now she's in a very affluent Fairfield County school system in Connecticut from Central, doesn't know anybody, has these major issues going on, and double 5th grade, and once again, service provider brought her in late because their service ran over. You know how that goes. And she comes in, and I said, "Oh, Beth, welcome, we waited for you." And she says, BAM! In front of 48 5th graders, and I was like, oh, what do I do? Yeah, that happened. So, what does respect look like or sound like in the classroom? Listening when someone's talking, not the teacher. When anybody's talking, that's important. So you have to model that. So if you have side talking going on here, because a student is sharing, that needs to be squelched. So it's listening when anybody's talking. What does respect look like or sound like? No talking. Yeah, or the teacher or anybody. How else can we show respect?
Silent bodies.
Maybe raise your hand before just shouting out, or
Leaving your prior problems outside versus bringing them.
try to be present. Leave what happened outside there and come back in.
Respecting your personal space.
Yeah, respecting personal space. And here's a big one now. We've been doing this for years, phys ed teachers. Asking for consent. We never called it that back then, but may I hold your hand, or can I be your partner, that type of thing. Asking for consent. Because a lot of us have spatial awareness issues and they don't like to be touched, that type of thing. And, you know, cleaning up a mess, what do you do and all that. All right, this one's a little tricky. So Beth and I are going to do a high five on this hand. And now with our middle fingers, it's gonna be difficult to see. It's gonna go slightly to the side so that they don't touch. And they're gonna bend. And now we're going to twist. Oh, maybe the other way. Okay, start high five over. Bend. And now we twist, and it's a wiggle wobble. Oh, we sort of got it. Go ahead, try it out. It's tricky. High five.
What do you do?
Shift it to the side a little bit.
Is that right? I don't know.
Try it with yourself if you can't do it with a partner.
Okay, yeah, we did turn it right. Okay. And then we turned this way. Okay.
Wave goodbye, rotate one partner clockwise. Introduce yourself in 10 seconds or less.
Same
3 seconds before showtime. Okay. Twist. The 5-finger contract. We're up to the ring finger. What does the ring finger represent? Those of you that are married. A lot of headaches. Oh, sorry. What? Oh, yeah, commitment.
I don't have one.
Commitment, honesty, respect, patience. Okay, what could all that look like or sound like? We're talking about your kids now, not your marriages, people. But they're all like, well, she last week. Empathy. Empathy. Oh, huge one. That's tough to teach, but you can teach empathy. Patience, commitment, responsibility. What could it look like? See how it's hard for adults? Can you imagine what it's like for students?
Doing what you're supposed to do.
Do what you're supposed to do. Know your role. Follow the directions.
Caring.
Say that.
Caring.
Caring. When you're committed to that class, like she said, you're not worrying about something that happened outside the room. Okay. And sometimes they need that break. Because remember, they're coming to you, sometimes they're seeking refuge because they don't succeed in their classroom. And they're seeking refuge when they come to you because maybe that's where they succeed. Or it's the opposite. They're walking into a living hell going to PE. they're afraid of it because they're not good movers and they're not really good at controlling their emotional states. So this one you can do side by side, but what you're gonna do is cross your arms over the elbows. Now inwardly rotate so the thumbs are down. Check your neighbor. Clasp your fingers. And now bring them toward your chest. Are you all inside out in reverse? This is gonna really do a brain teaser. One of you now will let go. Look at your partner and discuss who it's gonna be. I'm gonna let go. Now take a look at Albert and me. Albert's gonna just pull his hands away a little bit so I don't poke him in the nose, so I can reach him because I'm only 5'4". And I'm gonna point to only his ring finger. I'm not gonna touch him though. I'm gonna point to it, and he's going to try to lift up, lift up the ring finger I'm pointing at. Can you do it, Albert? Oh, see, first to the other. Try it. Don't touch, no physical contact. All right, try it with me. And if they can do that, try a different finger.
Try it.
Oh, don't touch me though, because that gives me a little sensory input, and I know which one it is. All right, try a different finger. Don't touch the person's finger. You'll give them a sensory message. Which one? Wow, that was hard. That was hard. Wave goodbye for our last location on the pinky. How you doing? Look at the hands. Nice. I'm going to use those in basketball. Yeah. I love it. All right, so you don't have to worry about lining up things in your hands. I did it. Feel good? 3 seconds. Okay. This one's tricky. You know what? Let me remind myself how to Yeah, I'm trying to go around. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. No, that's not it. It's that way. Okay. Bring those conversations to a close. The hardest thing I think in teaching is waiting. With me, I only have 30 minutes, and you have a lot to get through in 30 minutes. But I have to constantly remind myself to slow down my speech, talk less, but give them the time to talk, because we all throw out the term social and emotional learning. SEL, social emotional. Do they even know what it means? What's the social part of social and emotional learning? What is it? Socializing, talking with somebody else, making eye contact, taking turns, ping pong. It's how to be social. And we have some students that are very introverted, and that's okay. But assertion is a very useful life skill, too. What's the emotional part of teaching? There's a reason why you're here. Controlling your emotions. That actually was a question, but I tricked you on that. I didn't mean to. It's controlling your emotions, knowing when to step up and take a risk, or step back and let somebody else have a turn. Being okay during competition, whether you win or you lose. Being happy, showing empathy. So make sure your students actually know that, because people throw out that term, social emotional learning. And some of our own colleagues don't really know exactly the breakdown of what that process is. So we're finally on the pinky. And everybody talks about the pinky promise, and we're going to promise to do everything we can and uphold all 5 of our expectations. And you can even have them raise the right hand and repeat after me, I promise you, You know what a pinky promise is, right? But we're not going to do a pinky promise. What we're going to do is, I will have one hand outstretched. I'm sorry, what was your name? Andrew. Andrew will have the other, no, that was right. So his right hand, my right hand, or left to left. And we're going to hold just the fingers. Now, I did it wrong. I did do it wrong. It's my right, his left. We even practiced it before we went on stage. So, his thumb is up and my thumb is down. See that? And now what we're going to do is raise our pinkies out. And it's kind of like a thumb war. He's going to try to, with his thumb, pin my pinky down, but I'm also going to try to get his. So you have 2 separate things to think about with your brain nets right now. Don't get, oh, he got me. Don't get